Alright, I'm going to show everyone how I make kombucha. I've had a few people ask me how to do it, so I'm going to do the best I can here. Shoot with my iPhone. It's probably going to be horrible, but we'll see how it goes. So, quick breakdown. I got some water already boiling in my teapot there, making 1 gallon. So I got 20 grams of Pur-eh tea already broken apart in my French press. I do this in my French press because it makes things way simpler. I'll kind of explain that later. I have, man, this is super hard to work. So I have 5 Grolsch bottles here that I'm gonna bottle. Typically I'll do 6, but I'm gonna give away a SCOBY and a cup, maybe 2 of starter. We'll see what I got. Because my SCOBY's getting super thick. I don't know if you can see that in there, but let me see here. So yeah, my SCOBY's getting super thick. So I'm gonna peel a layer away and give that away. I'm going to flavor my kombucha with lemon, which I've just freshly squeezed, and also ginger, which I've freshly squeezed from the root. I'm not gonna go into how I did either one of those because that's not part of this video. So anyway, let's get rolling. So, my water is already boiling to make what I like to call tea concentrate. I don't really know how much is in there, however much I feel works. Maybe a cup and a half, cup, 2 cups, somewhere there. Does not really matter. Anyway, so let's get rolling. The only thing I forgot to get out is sugar, so let me get my sugar out. So, okay. So I'm gonna do the best I can with my iPhone and not making any promises how good this is gonna work out. So, here we go. So, let's see here. Grab my kombucha. This is a Tibetan strain. Has been brewing for about 12 to 13 days, about 5/14 this is on there. It's the 27th, so I don't know, you do the math. Alright, my wife likes to name them. This particular one, his name is Ripley from Aliens, in case you didn't put that together. Alright, I'm going to try to prop you up because I need like 2 hands for this, so hang on a second. Come on, coffee pot, help me out here. There we go. Alright, I'll move the lemon here. Alright, I don't know, your SCOBY's pretty resilient. Make sure your hands aren't like dirty, obviously, but I'm just going to reach in there and grab a hold of this beast. And it's definitely a beast. Especially this particular one. You don't want to disturb it the best you can because you want to get your starter off the top, so. So there's my SCOBY. Oh, and I'll grab a shot of that for you guys. So as you can see, it's a beast. It's getting pretty thick. I need to layer it down, at least 1 layer. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna set you back up. So now, for me to keep brewing my next gallon, I need to take 2 cups. Now, you want to try to get it off the top. The way it goes is your most active bacteria is at the top, and then it gets yeastier as it goes down. So you want to take your SCOBY out as easy as you can, and then gently ladle out 2 cups. And this is going to be your starter for your next gallon. I can hear my tea over there is already starting to whistle. I make that tea concentrate because it's way easier. If you only do about 2 cups and heat that up, you don't have to wait as long for it to cool. And that's why I do that. Alright, it's really starting to whistle now. I gotta be quick. We have to do 1 extra step with that being that it's Pur-eh tea. Oh, hang on, we'll get there in 1 second. Almost there. Alright, 2 cups. So that will be our starter for my next gallon I'm going to brew. So that's, come on, I don't know if you could even see any of that. I was stupid, I didn't check, so turn my tea off here a second. Okay, so I have, God, this is horrible. So yeah, I have, like I said, 20 grams of tea already in my French press there. So here's what I'm going to do. Because it's Pur-eh tea, it's a fermented brick. I'm going to just dab a little bit in there. I'm going to put my French press all the way down. I'm going to shake it off. It's called rinsing it because, I don't know, that's what you're supposed to do. I'm just going to say because. Just dump that out. You don't want any of that. Just kind of like a wash, if you will, almost like a fruit wash. So, take this back out. Try to not spill my tea everywhere because my wife will hate me. And just dump this in here. So, like I said, this is what I like to call like a tea concentrate, because it's obviously going to take way less time for 2 cups of water to cool than the 13 cups of tea you're supposed to add to 1 gallon. Now, being this is tea, come on, get in there. Hang on. Alright, being this is tea, not coffee, I like to do this. Kind of get some oxygen in there. Let her sit. Alright, we're done with that. So, kind of let that tea sit the whole time you're doing your thing. So, we already got our 2 cups of starter out. Now, like I said, I'm going to give away some. So, I'm gonna take out another cup right now. Oop. Hopefully you're still recording. Okay, you're still recording. Sorry, I dropped it a little bit. So I'm gonna take out another cup. This will be a cup I'm gonna give away. And with 1 cup, you can start a ½ gallon of kombucha. So that's a pretty good starter. It's been brewing a little longer than I usually go, so it should be pretty active. And then when I'm done bottling, whatever I have left, it's usually maybe a ½ cup. I'll usually include that in the starter just to help them out. Still tell them to brew a ½ gallon to start, but at least I'll have a lot of starter to do it with, so should kind of help them out. Alright, I'm going to, I see a lot of yeast floating around in here, so I'm actually going to scoop that out. Whether or not that's good or bad, I don't know. It's more my own personal, I don't want it in there. Alrighty, so move on to bottling. So I do all the bottling while my tea sits and steeps for my next batch. Now, as I said, I'm going to do ginger and lemon. I personally like to do 1 tablespoon of lemon juice and 1 teaspoon of ginger. Maybe I'll go into another video on how I made those, but anyway. So I might do a little more because I'm only doing 5 bottles rather than 6, so I might have a little left over, but we'll see how far this gets us. I juiced 2 lemons and 2 good roots of ginger to get this amount. Go ahead and add a tablespoon of lemon juice into each bottle. Now, as you can see, I definitely still got a little bit left. Not enough to do a whole nother tablespoon, so let's just do another teaspoon. This isn't an exact science. I've only been doing this a few months, so I'm kind of making it up as I go. I mean, I like to keep it consistent though, so at least try to get the same amounts in each. So there's the lemon. Now let's do the ginger. And I just did a new ginger juicing method today, and it's working awesome because my ginger is not solidifying at the bottom, so I'm really happy about that. So another teaspoon. I really like ginger, so I have no problem putting 2 in each, but that's just my personal preference. I definitely probably have enough to almost do 2 in each, so I'm going to do it. The last one might be a little less, but whatever. Is what it is. Now, you can do whatever you want here. You can add fruit, you can add hops, you can do whatever you would like. This is just, in my opinion, the least amount of mess and to the best amount of flavor combination. So we're pretty much good there. So now, one thing I do, I grab this little wood thing I have. I do a couple of good stirs in here just to kind of keep it mixed up. You can see it fizzing at the top. That means this is a good batch. And then just kind of fill her up. Don't go too much because it will fizz at the top. So you can always come back and top it off later. I highly suggest you invest in these 79-cent funnels from Walmart because it'll make your life way easier. Now, I mean, I generally like to be right up to the bottom here in my bottles. So it gives it some room to carbonate, but still gives it a little room of air in there itself. So I'm definitely a little lower than usual, and I think with how hot it's been, it's probably some evaporation, would be my guess. Because I generally always fill it up to about the same, so in my brewing vessel. Let's top these ones off just a little bit more. Alright, that looks pretty good. Maybe a touch more in this one. That don't look bad. Maybe even a little bit more on that one. That one was a little fizzy at the beginning, so. That looks pretty even. Yeah, generally I have a little left over, so like I said, we'll add a little extra to this cup I'm gonna give away. That's a good cup and I don't know, a couple ounces at least, whatever. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we added our our flavoring, if you will, at the beginning. So right here is where you would add like actual chopped fruit if you want to. Or before you pour it in them, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. So those, I let sit out another 5 days to do what's called the second fermentation. Do whatever you want. Let them sit out 10, let them sit out 2. Does not really matter. Okay. So now, in our vessel, actually, you know what? I want to let this tea that we're waiting on steep a little longer. So while that's doing it, we'll split the SCOBY apart. So I'm going to give this away, and I just do it in a plastic bag because every time you brew, you're going to get a new layer to your SCOBY. So the hard part is trying to do it without like totally trashing it. And this one is like really solid together. Like it doesn't want to come apart at all. There she goes. See how it's kind of splitting apart now? The middle's kind of thin, but it's all right. I mean, the SCOBY's not important. You're gonna get a new SCOBY with every batch you do. So it's not, this is not the important part. The starter is the important part. This part over here that you can't see and I'm pointing at, but I'm not gonna move my phone because my hands are covered and stuff. So there's a nice, big, look, nice, thick, healthy white SCOBY that someone else can use to start their tea. So I'm gonna plop that in there. I'm gonna pour the starter in it. My second cup, or I already have my 2 cups. This is another cup to give away. Because you can give somebody SCOBY all you want, but if you don't give them any starter, well, they're screwed. You can't do anything. They need the starter, not the SCOBY. So we'll just seal that off and put that aside for now. That doesn't really have anything to do with this video. That's anyway. So let's go ahead and stir our tea up a little bit more. It's still pretty hot in there, but that's all right. So for 1 gallon, we're going to do 1 cup of sugar. Doesn't make sense on exact science. That's pretty close to a cup, whatever. Stir my tea a little more. Now I like to add the sugar to just this part because it'll dissolve better in the hot water. So press that down, your French press. Pour that in your vessel. You do not want to dump your starter in hot tea because it will kill the bacteria. So, is what I do. I pour my starter in there. Pour our sugar in there. Stir that up so that dissolves nice. Like I said, that'll dissolve a lot better in the hot water than in cool water. So now I like to fill this up to about just past this part. So when the SCOBY's fermenting, it likes to try to come out. Well, my SCOBY's as big as this part down here. So if I fill my water up here, as it tries to come out, it can't because the jar gets narrower. So remember, I got 2 cups of starter I got to put in here. So I got that much cool water I can put in to kind of neutralize the temperature of this water. I need that. So let's go ahead and do that. And I use this natural spring water that comes out of jugs. I get it from the store for like $2.50 for 2.5 gallons. So it's better than all the fluoride water that comes out of my faucet. I use organic lemons, organic ginger, organic sugar, fresh spring water. I try to keep this as natural as I can. Now in these particular jars that I'm using, what I've come to find out is if you fill it up to the top of this B where it says ball, it's about perfect with 2 cups left. Now you want to get as much water in here as you can because we're trying to cool that hot water that we started with. So I go about right there. Now we can kind of mix this up. Get the sugar mixed up. I got a little bit of sugar on the brim there. I see. I get the sugar in there. I always like to touch it. Make sure. I mean, room temperature is fine. I mean, room temperature is fine. They say, they want a minimum temperature when you're brewing to be 68. So, if it's 70 degrees in your house and you touch that and it's lukewarm, you're good. You just don't want to dump hot boiling tea in your starter because it's going to kill all the bacteria. It's the same concept as boiling. So, I'm going to take my starter and I'm going to add it to that. I like to do it while it's still spinning from mixing it up. Now, as you can see, I'm a little bit shy from where I want to be. I want to be up like another half inch. So I'm going to add a little bit more to that. Just as it starts cresting that bend. These jars were perfect. You can get them at Meijer's for like 13 bucks. Alright. I give her one more little mix, kind of mix that bacteria around, just one couple little gentle around. I don't go crazy on that because now our live cultures are in there. You want to drop your SCOBY back in there. Nice and gentle like. And don't worry if it goes crazy or sideways. They got minds of their own. They'll kind of level out and do their own thing. If you got it, I put mine on a plate. I always dump this leftover bit because that's probably a pretty active little bit. And that is seriously about it. The only couple little tips I can recommend is I use a chalk pen. As you can see the writing on there. So, wipe this off now from my last batch. It's now the 27th. Kind of write that on there so I know, because I do about 4 gallons at a time for these batches, so I like to know when each one's going, 27. Put our piece of fabric back over top. Rubber band it off. Put its name tag back on. These things are living creatures, so my wife insists they have a name. Again, this one's name is Ripley. Alright, so only 20 minutes. That's pretty good while filming it, I guess. So, anyway, this will be one of my first YouTube video uploads anyway. So, rock out. Booch for life.